we're on Avondale and we're heading toward downtown Redmond. We're just north of Lake Sammamish. If you take a look at the map, you'll see a lot of housing options here in the Redmond area, and we are on more of a busy road, so you're going to see more rentals, apartments, that type of thing. As we get into some of the more expensive areas, backwoods, suburbs, you'll get into the nicer, bigger houses. Now, the thing that put Redmond on the map happened about, I want to say, how old am I? I'm like in my 40s. It didn't happen 30 years ago. Quite a while back now, Bill Gates founded Microsoft and decided to make the Microsoft campus here in the Redmond area. And what had previously been kind of a sleepy backwoods semi-rural area, and you can see even here there's these fields that kind of have standing water. They're not good for building, so we do retain a lot of rural or undeveloped spaces. But we also have all the big business stuff too. Mostly not high-rises here, mostly low-rise retail. You can see we're coming up on a car wash. And we just passed a lot of apartments and townhomes and things like that. So it's expensive, but it's not necessarily super fancy. So there, you know, back behind the car wash. I'm crossing over some water here. It looks like we're on a bridge. And you can see that little blue sign with the heron on it. It says critical area. So all over Seattle, you will see a lot of little signs like that, and it basically says that this area is being preserved for nature and natural stuff like plants, trees, animals, frogs, birds, that type of thing. We're going to head on to Northeast Union Hill Road if you're following along. And so we really like to protect our natural forests and beauty. There are all kinds of creeks and hills and mountains and woods all over the place, all throughout town, and you know, obviously less as you get closer to downtown, but definitely here in Redmond and the Woodinville area, you're going to see a lot of things like that. And almost, you know, all of these hills create valleys, and in the valleys we have creeks, and in the creeks we often have salmon coming in from Puget Sound, which are one of our really popular, I want to call it a national treasure, but that seems like a strange way to put it. Seattle and Washington State are definitely known for salmon. We have a lot of hydroelectric dams where we get our energy, like on the Columbia River, for example. Here's a big shopping center. And so that's where we get our energy. We have cheap electricity here, but the dams block the rivers, and the rivers are where the salmon come to swim upstream and spawn and make new baby salmon. And so that's a challenge. When the rivers are blocked, the salmon can't get to their spawning grounds. And so that creates problems in the life cycle, and it makes the salmon, you know, population struggle. So it's important to protect the waterways we have, keep them accessible, keep them clean, so that the salmon supposedly always return to the place that they were born. So if they were born in a small creek, we want that small creek to be back waiting for them when they return. My kids, the public school that my kids went to for kindergarten had a little salmon project where they had a big goldfish tank and they filled it with salmon eggs, and eventually the salmon eggs hatched and they released the little eggs into the stream back behind the school, the brook at Brookside Elementary, if you will. And so that was a fun way for them to get to participate in that life cycle and learn about how salmon are an important resource for the area. A national treasure. So here we are in Redmond. We're getting on Redmond Way here, Highway 202, and you can see some of the new construction going on in this direction. The real freeway access is limited. We have 405, which is a north-south freeway loop off of the main drag, Interstate 5, which goes from Canada to Mexico through Washington, Oregon, and California. So here we're just working on increasing the density. Everyone wants to live on the east side now. This is the it ticket, the must-have side, and as you can see, if you compare and contrast with some of my Seattle videos and things, we have a lot of people here who look gainfully employed and sober here on Saturday morning. We are not experiencing the same type of drugs problem, homeless problem, prostitution problem, vandalism, graffiti, what else? Tents. You don't see that type of thing around here, and you might not have noticed that it was absent, but if you spend time in Seattle, you'll certainly notice that it's present there. And so because here in the Redmond area, they've been able to keep things a lot more cleaned up, nicer, and they have fantastic schools, and they have these cute little downtown areas that they're really developing into a fun place to be. You can see people outside walking around, going for coffee. Here's a proposed land use action, and there's a light rail up there. So the train is going to be coming through, the light rail train. And anytime we get close to those light rail stops, we see a real surge in building taller buildings. Oftentimes they'll do a rezone to allow 70-foot buildings and that type of thing, so you can have more people who can walk more easily to the stops. Now you can kind of see over here, they're doing the mall thing. They have a movie theater, Cold Stone Creamery, a Korean barbecue, all sorts of people walking around. There's a goldfish swim school, which is a funny concept to me. This is the Redmond Town Center, by the way. It's a funny concept because they have a little tiny swimming pool in one of these retail locations, and so it's for kids to learn to swim in a presumably non-intimidating body of water. Pony Express, just pokey. I don't know if you guys eat pokey in other states. Where are you coming from, guys? Tell me in the comments where you're coming from and if they have pokey there, because I really don't know. It might be pronounced poke or something more cool. Especially here on the east side, you have to pronounce these things correctly. But poke is kind of like sushi in a salad bowl. So they'll give you a big scoop of rice, and then they'll give you these chopped up sushi quality raw fish cubes, and then they mix in all sorts of deliciousness. It could be soybeans, it could be little crunchy wonton noodles, could be flakes of ginger, all sorts of sauces and spices and things like that, and it's pretty good. Pretty darn good. And if you don't want to eat that much carbs, you don't want a whole bowl of rice, you can mix it with a bowl of lettuce in a lot of cases. So I believe poke came out of Hawaii, where they have a lot of seafood and a lot of Japanese influence, and now it's here. So there are a lot of restaurants for poke here, but I don't remember it being around when I was a kid, nigh on 40 some years ago. So anyway, I know sometimes things start on the West Coast and migrate out to other places. There's some art, Redmond art. There's the Matador, there's the Half Price Books. So I'm just kind of trying to give you guys a little back and forth Saturday morning vibe. So this is a lot of people tell me I want a place where I can walk around. I want to go out, I want to get my coffee, I want to walk around amongst the people, see and be seen, and this is a great place to do it. You can see all of the apartments and lofts and everything around here, high rise on the left, and then this beautiful open space on the right, lots of picnic areas and no indigent people who look like they live there. It's a beautiful thing. Go ahead. So this is a really nice community gathering spot. And for a lot of people who have dogs or kids living in these tight buildings up here, it certainly is good to have a kind of a gathering place you can go out, stretch your legs, and get some sun. That seems outdated now. I don't know if you guys still go to Jamba Juice, but my son for a while was really interested in these Mark Sisson books. He's kind of a paleo diet guy. And he had this archetype named Grok, who was the modern day paleo guy who would do all the healthy things like exercise and eat a low carb diet and probably, I don't know, was really healthy and fit in general. And then he had the opposite of that. Grok spelled backward was the Korgs. And the Korgs were like the typical Americans who did all things wrong, like playing video games all day and so forth. And so the Korgs guys went to Jamba Juice. And ever since that, my kids stopped asking me to go to Jamba Juice. So we try to keep it low carb. We're not super strict like we used to be, but there used to be some health problems that made it a little bit more of a big deal. So fortunately, we're past that, but it's still good for the waistline, good for the brain. Try to keep us lower on sugar.